Welcome to Intentional Life with me, Jamie Comer. Thank you so much for being here and thank you for being you. Today, we are exploring a few different areas, including your creative self-expression. I have some different tools and ideas and practices for that. And we are also going to do a check-in with this practice of finding the harmony between intentional action, emotional processing, and being present. And we're also going to dive a bit more into doing the daily inner work, an example of bringing in more self-kindness and self-empowerment. And so you can, really hone your self-mastery and self-emotional awareness and do some self-healing. Yep, the fun stuff. So why don't you get cozy, whether you're going for a walk, whatever you may be doing, find your special space maybe. For me today, my special space includes roses from our garden. I counted, no joke, 80 plus rosebuds on this one rose bush. It is wild. But just like anything, I'm finding that if the stems are thin and there's so many roses blooming up on one stem, connected to one stem, what happens? They flop over, right? So more is not always better unless you're continuously tending to them and clipping them and using them and really making the most out of them. If we don't use what we have available to us, for example, using this metaphor, if we don't use what we have available to us when it is present and available, it may just go wasted. May not be available anymore for us. So maybe that's a little sign for us to check in and see, well, what do we have around us during this abundant time of summer in the Northern Hemisphere? And what do you have at your availability and around you to really make the most of? Whether that's a resource, a conversation, a person, an experience, physical things you have in your space, what you can do with. Maybe you want to give them, for example, gifting things that you have an abundance of, an excess of. That's what we've been doing too. I've been gifting these roses. It's been really sweet. Okay, and the other thing that I have in my space right now is two things that have to do with grounding energy. If you feel like you've been all aflutter and all about, these might speak to you too. I have a grounding mat on top of our desk. You can use it on the ground as well. It's called Hooga, Hooga, a Hooga mat, and it's connected to an electrical outlet, and it sends grounding radiation energy, like as though you're outside, like the equivalent of if you were outside touching the earth. And then I also have to help with EMF, electromagnetic frequency radiations coming from, cell phones, Wi-Fi, computers, all the stuff that I have set up around me is shungite. Shungite is a type of stone, crystal, and it is a type of mineral, actually, as I'm reading it, that helps with protection from that. And it also has many other properties. And I got this one from Modern Ohm. I'll add that in the show notes too. I'm not getting any kickback from these, by the way. These are just things I love. I want to share with you because they help me cultivate an intentional life by, supporting my well-being. And I just want to share those with you. I get so excited when I hear things like this. So happy for you to share some with me too. Okay. So let's explore first our creative expression. Josh Linkner is this amazing innovation speaker. He has such a charismatic energy and he brings so many ideas and possibilities when you hear him speak. And he has this great newsletter where he shares all these different ideas from all these different walks of life on how to support your creativity and your innovation. And he recently shared in his newsletter about doing something off task, different from what you normally do, different from your work, whatever it may be, just even for 5 minutes. He calls this a microcharge. A microcharge. By the way, Josh Linkner is a New York Times bestselling author. Like he knows his stuff. And so that was inspiring to me because that's what I've been doing lately. I recently picked up a new passion, or the passion found me. It's with painting. I had, got a really simple metallic watercolor kit a while ago, just painting. And then I got some acrylics and painting rocks with my kids and our neighbors' kids, and just doing different ways of creative painting. And so I started upping my game a little bit and I got into the art toolkit. The art toolkit is actually was created here in Port Townsend, Washington. Maria, the founder, is a remarkable woman who I've had the honor and joy of also swimming with in the ocean. She loves ocean swimming. And this art toolkit is essentially like a portable kit that you can take with you to do your painting, your watercolors, your sketching, your creativity. And it has a paint pen that you can fill up with water, so you don't have to have like a bucket of water or a little cup of water with you everywhere you go. So it's a very portable, user-friendly experience. And she's taken this all over the world, and I'm planning to take this with me all over the world for sure. And so I've been doing some extra like watercolor painting, just stepping outside. And one thing it's been teaching me is to set aside the perfectionism. If you have a little bit of perfectionism in you, raise your hand if you're a Virgo. I'm raising my hand right now. If you have that habit of wanting to perfect things, I find that painting, whether it's watercolors or anything else, it's such a wonderful opportunity to ditch the perfectionism, practice setting aside the perfectionism, and just going with the flow of whatever you create, right? There's only so much you can change and adjust. And sure, you could take a long time on a painting, but sometimes I like to give myself actually a short time. Like, for example, in the morning time when I know I have a set amount of time without my kids and it's my kind of quiet time. If I'm not biking to the ocean and swimming in there, then I'll be sitting outside and doing some watercolor painting, for example. And so just kind of going with it and seeing what happens. Another way that I've been finding to be really helpful to set aside the perfectionism and just have more fun and connection to nature. If you notice these themes, connection of nature, connection with yourself, creativity, creative expression. Ali Foxen is the author of the Green Sketching Handbook, and I had the opportunity to interview her a while back for a book I'm writing, and I'm taking my time writing this book. And she is an academic and sustainability turned author, and just a beautiful human who is helping people get outside more with nature and having fun with sketching and really, setting aside that perfectionism and really just enjoying the experience, the process of it. Her book is The Green Sketching Handbook: Relax, Unwind, and Reconnect with Nature. So that is a wonderful way also to pick up some sketching ideas or just have a community to join in with to support you on your sketching, and with the art toolkit as well. I'll add those links for their Instagrams in the show notes, to whether it is just to get inspired or to enjoy some of the things that they're doing. So I'm curious so far, what in this idea of creative self-expression, what is coming up for you? What kind of energy are you feeling inside of you? What kind of energy are you feeling inside of you? Are you feeling called to do anything, explore anything? What would you like to experience? You could pick up anything, try anything for a day. A creative self-expression, whatever that may look like. Could be singing, dancing, some type of movement-based activity or physical activity, sewing, drawing, storytelling. One of my kids has been dipping in and out of making his own graphic novel, his own comic, right? He's been reading those and getting into them. So it's been fun to see how he expresses, what he's learning into another area, just for fun, just to see what happens and create when he feels called to. So I'm curious what comes up for you. Okay. Now, exploring the idea of harmony between intentional action, emotional processing, and presence. What are we talking about here? What's this have to do with intentional life? Well, in episode 1, I share with you this concept, kind of this trio of doing, feeling, and being, the 3 things that I think make up an intentional life. That when you would break it down, doing is action-based. We're doing humans do most of the time. We are doing, we're talking, We're breathing, that's doing. We're, doing the laundry, washing the dishes, working, taking our kids somewhere, having conversations, drinking a coffee, whatever it is that we're doing, there's action related involved of it. Sometimes it's intentional, sometimes it's habitual, sometimes it's rhythmic, sometimes we're aware of it, sometimes we're not aware of what we're doing. And then the area of feeling. This is the emotional processing. It requires taking a pause and really noticing your feelings. Okay. We may be feeling all the time, but we may not be always, noticing our feelings, I realize. And then there's the being space, the being of being present with yourself and your surroundings. This being area also connects with, I think, the magic that arises when you do pause, when you feel that pause of doing and feeling. I find that it's like, say after this podcast, use a real life example here. After this podcast, if I sit and pause afterwards and just close my eyes for a moment, let myself notice the feelings, anything coming up. Like, ooh, I'm feeling tired. Ooh, I'm feeling hungry. Ooh, I'm thirsty. Ooh, I'm judging myself for what I said. Whatever may be coming up. And then that being space, it is the act of pausing. But it's also kind of after you feel what you're feeling. And then it's like, well, what happens? What's changed because I'm aware of the feelings and I'm pausing from doing? So it's almost like the third thing that happens. And sometimes nothing happens. We may not notice a difference. Sometimes we may notice this release because we acknowledged our feelings. Sometimes we may have an aha moment or a new awareness and like, oh my gosh, oh wow, I notice I'm judging myself for what I said in the podcast. So what do I want to do about that? So this new like aha awareness of my own beliefs about myself, for example, right? So we can kind of expand on what that being space is. I know it's a little mysterious. It's a little an enigma. It's hard. It's a hard one to define sometimes, but it's definitely a one that connects us with being present. So I'd love to check in with you today about your harmony with this doing, feeling, and being. Is there one area that you'd like to dedicate a little more energy to this week? More intentional action, more emotional processing, or just pausing to feel your emotions and acknowledge them, honor them. Or perhaps being still in your body. That could involve meditating, mindfulness practices. It could also involve sitting outside and just listening and seeing what comes up for you. Presence can look like many different things. Stillness can look differently for each of us. So which area do you feel called to maybe bring in a little more? And notice what that might look like. What's one example of what that could be? Go ahead and think about that. Feel free to journal on it. For example, if it's an intentional action or maybe more doing, maybe you feel like you've been pausing or stagnant or not moving much lately. Maybe there's an action needed. Maybe you want to physically move your body more this week. Or maybe you want to take action on something that's been lingering for you, an idea that you've been tending to, but you're ready to really be clear about what you want and take action on it. Or maybe you notice you've just been going and going and going and going, and you're like, dude, I just need to sit and pause for a moment. And what am I feeling? So I'm going to sit every time I get in the car. Here's an example. I sit and before I leave somewhere, I just close my eyes and take a breath and ask, what am I feeling? Just what am I feeling right now? And then when I get to the place, I ask, what am I feeling? When I get back, I ask, what am I feeling? You can say, body, what are you feeling? Body, what do you need? Heart, what do you need? Heart, what are you feeling? So those are a few fun ways to explore this harmony and bring more harmony for you for your intentional action, emotional processing, and presence. If you want to dive into that more, listen to episode 1. And then let's wrap up here with our third just exploration, our area of exploration. There's something about the power of threes here, right? The power of threes. I know there's a lot of writing on that. There's a lot of evidence on the power of three. We're gonna go with it here. So I'm laughing at this one because just a couple days ago, normally I offer this podcast episode on a Wednesday morning at 6 a.m. It's already pre-recorded, all ready to go, and it comes out to you at 6 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. This past week, I managed to record this episode to you, which was similar to this one right now, except this part, without the mic on. The wrong mic was connected, the cord. So it wasn't recorded the sound. I had the video, but the sound was missing. So, in the past, my typical response would have been, geez, Jamie, like, you got to get going. Okay. And anxiety would have like flowed through my body. I would have like told Matt, my partner, okay, I have to work more. I have to work more. You have to take the kids. I don't know. And I would like crammed in an episode feeling uber anxious, and it would have been a horribly recorded. So, and I would have created stress through the whole family, probably. Or even if I had pulled it off just fine, like and nothing happened with my family, I would have felt anxious. There would have been a high level of self-criticism, high level of just feeling critical in my body, hard on myself. Does that sound familiar at all? Do you resonate with that at all? When you make a mistake or something you might deem as a mistake, something you might, especially when you're accountable to others, that when something goes wrong, what happens? So yes, in the past, it would have been self-criticism, embarrassment, anxiousness, a lot of anxiety moving through the body. This time that didn't really happen though. And it didn't just not happen magically, right? There was a process that happened in between. And I wanted to walk you through that process with an intention to demystify the emotional processing process and demystify that time that we go from like, it's easy to say, let's not be self-critical. It's easy to say, let's be kind to ourselves. But how do you actually do it, right? And so I want to walk you through how I did it, the process I did. This wasn't just a couple of days ago. I mean, it's been over months. And to be honest, it's been over years. I do believe that there is a way to expedite it though. And I hope by me sharing this with you, you can expedite it and make it easier for yourself than I did for myself. So for example, the process starts with, and it can vary a few different ways, but this is my process today. I'll share it with you is, okay, in the past, I'll say record a podcast, which this probably has happened in the past with past podcasts is, I feel anxious. I'm judging myself. Okay. First, I just notice. The power is noticing that you actually feel what you're feeling. Notice that you're feeling anxious or critical. That's, I think, the hardest part. That is like the awakening moment where you're like, oh my gosh, I'm feeling this. I'm aware that I'm feeling this, because once you're aware of what you're feeling, then you have that beautiful, beautiful opportunity to decide, well, what do I want to do with that? I can just acknowledge it, ignore it, avoid it, stuff it down, throw it out, throw it at someone else, eat more, buy something, look at my phone. I'm raising my hand to all of these. These are some of my own little scapegoats that, I could do that. And sometimes I will choose, though, something else. It's the something else that's especially powerful, I find. The something else of, okay, I acknowledge the feeling. What am I feeling? And I like to ask, what's that about? What's that anxiousness about? I totally muffed up this episode. What's that about? Okay. And one way that helps me, I'm going to give you a dialogue that you can use when you notice a feeling and you're asked what that's about. You could say, I'm feeling blank, and acknowledge what the feeling is because I think blank. And just notice where the narrative goes. Notice where the runoff sentence goes. For example, I'll see if this one's probably fairly accurate. It's for me, for the past. Okay, I'm feeling anxious because I think I have to get an episode out Wednesday morning. Otherwise, people won't think I'm serious about my work, or I'll let people down is it kind of like the core one, probably. And I won't get the opportunities that I want. And the opportunities won't come to me because people won't think I'm consistent or regular and can't handle hard situations, or that I prioritize my family over business and that I shouldn't. And so notice just for yourself a dialogue that keeps going. If you notice, I just said like a runoff sentence of reasons why. Okay. And those all have or still are things that I continue to work with. Right. And we could dive into, well, where do these come from? Where did they start? And I really love working with people specifically on that. I think there's definitely beautiful practices for self-healing. You can do this yourself. I find if it's new though, working with people to help you bring awareness to these specific beliefs that you have or where they come from is really helpful. So for example, I've been working with a functional medicine doctor for over 10 years, and I've worked with intuitive mentors, and they've helped me, notice the patterns so I can do this. And I still see them though. It's like, you have your check-in, right? And I'm happy to add these amazing humans here as well in the show notes to help support you. There's so many people, different ways we can do self-healing, inner work. I do this in the coaching work that I do with clients too. So I'll add myself to that list. And so when you think about maybe a situation for you, let's play with this a little bit, is a time that you've been having you were really judgmental of yourself, or you're really hard on yourself. Okay. And what feeling did you have? Notice the feeling that came up, and you can ask yourself, well, what was that about? Okay, I was feeling blank because blank, 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 right? And let yourself just run off. It doesn't have to make any sense to anybody, even yourself just yet. If it helps, write it out, to just let the pen to paper, let it go. Okay. And then I want to acknowledge here at this point though, if you notice, this process requires us to pause to go through this process, right? There's a pause of reflection, and that's hard in and of itself, right? Our world has sped up, or maybe it feels like we've sped up. We could easily get caught up into the pace of many things happening out in the world. So this is I think a very courageous act to pause the outside noise, activity, and prioritize yourself and practice this self-healing, this self-mastery, this self-kindness, the self-empowerment. Yes, it really is. What comes after this powerful pause and recognizing the narratives that you have around a belief? So after you've acknowledged you're feeling something, and after acknowledging you're feeling something because you think X, Y, and Z, I think there's a few different ways. You can move it out of your body, going for a walk, walking with it. You can journal it out. You can release it. Right? As you journal, you can write anything that you want about the experience, and you can tear up the paper, recycle it. You can also do a verbal release. I release believing that I have to prioritize work over family, for example, right? There is a particular sentence that I've learned. I'll add the resource to this that I gained from a mentor. I release all my emotional attachments to blank, and you fill in that blank. What do you feel most curious about? What questions do you have about the emotional processing? Let's check in. How are you feeling how are you feeling in this very moment to the beginning of our time together today? What are two or three words to describe? For me, I'm feeling thirsty. ready for sunshine, and so grateful to have this conversation with you. So thank you.